What's up, guys? Rick here with my top 5 sleepers for this week's Honda Classic. These are golfers a little bit further down the betting board or down your DFS player pool that I think could be valuable this week. And you might be looking at this field and saying, well, they're all kind of sleepers, and you would be right. But here are some guys that I think are even deeper than that. Plenty more content coming this week, including our regular 3 p.m. live chat on Wednesday on the Rick Run Good YouTube channel for all your ownership, question and answer, just final thoughts going into this week's Honda Classic. And then 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time, the Jock Market Power Hour for the Honda Classic. That's stock market DFS. It's a load of fun. It's awesome. We've got some Jock Bucks to give away, so join us for that. But otherwise, let's jump into the sleepers. Let's start with Luke List, who is not normally a name that I tend to play, but this week in particular, I think sets up really well for what we would consider, hashtag team no putt. Guys that strike the ball really well, but struggle on the putting surfaces. If they can find that one hot week, maybe they contend for a title. And that's exactly what Luke List has been over the course of his career. Now, he hasn't been as good with his irons in his last 4 starts, and his putter has been better. It's weird. We're actually seeing kind of a bizarro version of Luke List in the last 4 weeks that he has played. But I'm seeing an opportunity for him to potentially marry these two things together. A longer term, great ball striking week with a shorter term, good putting week. If he can put them together, which he hasn't done often in his career, but if he can do it here at the Honda Classic, he can certainly contend. And it's certainly worth noting that he finished second here in 2018. He had another top 10 in 2016. So PGA National is a place that he's got some pretty decent vibes at. So Luke List, who is $7,500 on DraftKings, he's 70-1 to win this golf tournament, I think becomes an appealing option if he can play a little whack-a-mole and things can go his way this week. Brandon Wu is next. He's $7,800 on DraftKings. He's 70-1 to win this week's Honda Classic. And listen, I already am getting a little nervous about the amount of steam coming behind Brandon Wu this week. And I don't necessarily want to die on the Brandon Wu hill. I think he's a great player. I don't know how he's going to do this week. In fact, it's a very volatile course at PGA National. A lot of things can go wrong. I would prefer if it was an easier course for Brandon Wu and a lot of these guys in this field. But what we have here, especially with the way the PGA Tour handled tour cards in 2020, not taking a tour card away from any established pro, it's creating an opportunity where some of these Korn Ferry guys are really good and could potentially should be on the PGA Tour. Think about Will Zalatoris. Think about what he has done, taking the most of his opportunities on the PGA Tour and turning that into special temporary membership status. Brandon Wu, probably one of the top candidates who could already be on the PGA Tour if it wasn't for that shortened season last year. And he's played well on the Korn Ferry. He finished 7th at the Puerto Rico Open on the PGA Tour just a couple of weeks ago. So I don't know if this is going to be a good week for him, but I think you should be looking into some of these guys that you might not know a lot about who are playing well around the world, whether it's on the European Tour, whether it's on the Korn Ferry Tour. I think there is absolutely something to be said for them, and Brandon Wu is the poster child of those golfers this week. Let's go to Jim Furyk at $6,900 and 90-1 to win the Honda Classic. And this is a challenging course. It's very difficult. PGA National, it bites back. And when I get in situations like that, I want a grinder in my corner. And I think that's exactly what Jim Furyk is. And, even at this point in his career, he's finding a way to compete. And he's competing with a much younger and frankly much more talented set of golfers on the PGA Tour, but he's finding a way to get it done. He posted a T26 at Riviera in his last PGA Tour start, and he's made 4 consecutive cuts on this tour. Now, he's spending the majority of his time on the Champions Tour. That's where he's been keeping sharp, and he's played 8 times there since the fall, and it's resulted in 5 top 10s and 2 victories. Now, of course, you do not have to describe the differences between the Champions Tour and the PGA Tour, but this is a really strong stretch of golf across both circuits for Jim Furyk. And, difficult courses like PGA National, like what we kind of saw at Riviera, have only been speed bumps for Jim Furyk, and he's been able to overcome them at times. And I think this is a really good opportunity to get a grinder in your corner for a really cheap price. Harold Varner III is next. He's $7,600 on DraftKings, and he's 90-1 to win the Honda Classic. And, let's be real. If this is a team no-putt week, well, look no further than Harold Varner III. And since the start of the 2020 season, only Russell Henley has been better from tee to green than Harold Varner III, or at least of golfers who are playing this week, who are in this field. And we've got 3 consecutive cuts made from HV3, a 62nd, a 61st, and a 21st. Now, those are much more stacked fields. We're talking about Riviera. We're talking about Bay Hill. We're talking about the Players Championship. Absolutely stacked fields. You remove all of the studs from those fields, and Harold Varner III is starting to appear to be a really good, interesting option. The tee to green game has consistently been there over the last 18 months or so. He just needs to put it all together. I think you put him in a weak field like this, you let his talent get after it, and you see what happens come Sunday afternoon. If he can hang on, if he can make a run, that is all to be determined. But HV3, based on the metrics, based on what we expect to play well at PGA National this week, is certainly an appealing option. Finally, it's Wesley Bryan. He's $6,800. He's 150-1 to win the Honda Classic. And I might have a soft spot for this guy. It's a really interesting situation that he's in. He's coming off of a major medical that kept him out of golf for basically 2 years. He came back in the restart. The first event that he played was the RBC Heritage, and he's only played a handful of times since then. In fact, he's only played 10 times. He's only played 8 measured events, but in those 8 measured events, he's gained on approach in 7 of them. The putter has been a bit hot and cold at times. He can lose 5 strokes, but he can gain 5 strokes with the putter, and his off the tee game is much improved since he came back from that major medical. He's been about an average driver of the golf ball. So you put all that together, and I see a guy who has a fairly decent floor because of his ability to hit irons and wedges, and then a lot of volatility based on what his putter's going to do. He might gain strokes on approach, lose 5 strokes putting and miss the cut, or he might gain strokes on approach, gain 5 strokes putting and finish inside the top 15. Like, that is certainly in the range of outcomes here. And I like that. I like that volatility. I like the small sample size from Wesley Bryan, and I think he's a pretty interesting plug and play option, especially for your fantasy lineups. There you go. Those are my top 5 sleepers for this week's Honda Classic. Let me know who I got right. Let me know who I got wrong. Tweet me at RickRunGood or leave a comment below. Best of luck this week, and I'll talk to you guys soon.